Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot and welcome to our Saturday reading. In here, we're going to see how this weekend is coming along and see what kind of sense we can make of the energy that came up from yesterday. So, we actually had a reasonably refreshing kind of energy that showed up yesterday. Little bit of kind of new opportunity energy, but it's not the same for everyone, and it turns out it's got a lot of nuance to it. So we're going to take a look to see kind of how that is shifting and how it is shaking out for you across this weekend. Um, in this is going to be a general reading for this collective, so it absolutely won't resonate with everyone, shouldn't resonate with everyone. But if it does resonate with you, then by all means, check out those other readings. Think about maybe subscribing, might be a good idea. We're going to read today. I'm going to read for you with the Tarot of the Spirit and then also with the Tarot of Sacred Kingdoms. And then this is the Shaman's Dream Oracle that I'm going to be reading for you, or that I will use as the Oracle card when the time comes for that one. And I think actually I'm going to start with the Tarot of the Sacred Kingdoms. Just get a feel for today. We've had some interesting energy popping around for the last couple of days. Let's see what's coming up in the energy of today. So this is the High Priestess in the reverse. Secrets coming out, something that I maybe wasn't designed initially to come out, but now there's some sense of, I guess it's coming out anyway, and needing to understand what the implications are going to be and what to do about it. King of Cups. This is a more stable King of Cups than sometimes what we've been seeing here lately. So it's still a card of ego, needing to be able to understand what's going to work for them and what's not going to work for them. But I feel like there's a definite, more of an understanding of what those needs are, where those boundaries lie. And maybe those are continuing to change for your person as they figure out how to accommodate more emotion, because that's kind of one of the emotional capacity is one of the things that's shifting here. But right now actually feels relatively stable, even if not completely as if they have a ton of emotional capacity. Knight of Cups in the reverse. This might be a tendency to be a little bit more deliberate about what they're doing. So instead of being flirty and just sort of tossing it all out there, there's a sense of understanding the implications of what they're saying a little bit more and actually meaning them. So it's got a little bit more, not necessarily serious, but at least a real sort of vibe to it, a conversation that's real. If you guys have interaction in this energy, it's more recognizing the realities that surround you now. There's that refreshing energy from yesterday that kind of threw your person for a little bit of a curve. It looks like maybe they haven't quite recovered from that, but at least it looks like it's moving in the right direction. They're not getting farther and farther out of whack as they try to figure out how to handle the energy that they're sitting in. There is a Five of Wind, though. Under the surface, there's definitely a desire to make sure that there is like nothing left standing, or nothing in opposition left standing, not leaving any trail. There's something here about making sure, and it's something that they don't feel good about, but making sure that everything is wiped away so that they can just ignore it, walk away from it, and not have to think about it again. But with the Karma card following right behind it, I feel like this might be a little bit of a futile effort to get away from something that they are going to have to confront. At some point, they're going to have to confront something that they'd like to walk away from, and that at this point, it looks like they're making an effort to walk away from. It doesn't necessarily seem like it's this relationship, but it may be something relevant to it. We have the Hermit and the Father of Fire in the reverse. Okay, this feels like a strong desire to do something that feels like it's out of control, but that there's actually the wisdom here to kind of keep things under wraps, keep things under control. So I don't know that that means that nothing significant happens, but maybe it doesn't get as out of control as the energy originally has it being, or has it doing. And I think this is also relevant to why you see a little bit more and it's a result of that stable ego energy, but why you see a little bit more of them being slightly reserved as they try to figure out how to move forward. Like there's something here that there's dangerous territory and they're trying not to fall into a bad place. There's definitely still the capacity for it to go poorly with this Father of Fire in the reverse and that unstable energy. It's like somebody who could move through a crowd without getting into a fight, but has the energy of somebody who wants to fight, you know? And so they know better, but they might kind of do it anyway. It's that kind of energy. So that's why I say it's iffy. I mean, it depends on what they meet as they move through that crowd, really. We have the Nine of Wind here, which I want to say is a good energy, but I'm not convinced that it is. It feels like, sometimes it feels like the ability to sleep, but here it feels like maybe sleeping a little bit too much, or a desire to sleep a little bit too much, a desire to take a break that lasts too long and ends up feeling more like kind of a stagnant sort of feeling. We have with the Seven of Fire, fear of not being supported. There's a sense here with the fear of not being supported that it's really your person being afraid to bring their feelings to you. So there's a great deal of desire, attraction between the two of you. That part hasn't changed, but they kind of feel like they have something. They're relatively stable as long as they don't say the wrong thing and put themselves into a place to have to go to coping, because they don't feel like they have very much of that ability to cope. They don't. That's kind of what comes out here in this Seven of Fire in the reverse. That feels like a lack of a desire to cope, and this Mother of Fire feels almost like a carnal desire to move forward and move toward you. And now, whereas that carnal desire may be very much both ways, I don't know that it's the way that they want to lead when their behaviors with you in the past have been as they have been. So there may be a better tack for them to take. I'm not sure if they're really in a position to be able to like navigate that right now. There's a sense of pain from them and a feeling of trying to sublimate their emotions. So those emotions have really been coming up and giving them some trouble here lately. With greater emotional capacity, they're able to take on a little bit more, but they're overwhelmed by generally what has come forth for them. There's too much that causes them to wince and wonder if they're actually right, because they've got this feeling with the Five of Wind up here like they have to win. That's a winning at any costs kind of vibe, but it's not necessarily saying whether they are correct. And there's a fear in them that they are not, and they keep kind of, it really does feel like wincing. And this is pain, that wincing pain. And this is every time they think of something, and it may be something that's relevant to you, but it seems like every time they think of something, there's a little bit of that wince, that wishing they had done something differently. And so the day's energy has turned into your person's emotions. I'm going to roll with it, see kind of what's going on here and as far as it relates to you. Because I'm feeling a lot of that desire to be right, but not really much of a desire to test the waters in the event that they're wrong. And yet this feeling that they're being placed into a position to make something right. Now with this Justice card, that could take almost any form. That could be going to court. I mean, there could be court dealings associated with it. And I know sometimes that's the case, but I feel like this is having to go through some kind of motions, whether they like it or not. Then we've got the Strength card coming out here. This feels like using your strength, or a perception on their part that they're using your strength. I don't think they actually are. I think they're relying upon the strength that comes from this union, from this bond between the two of you. There's a sense of a strength that comes from it. It does not deplete you when they utilize this. This lack of balance, though. Okay, so we've got the Justice card in the upright, a need to make something right, and the Temperance card in the reverse, which suggests they aren't going to be the ones to lend balance to this situation between the two of you, not in this energy. they've got some things that they're kind of working through over here, but what really sticks out for me is this inability to hold the emotion back, and it makes me wonder. That's why I was kind of like, I'm just going to roll with what we're seeing here, because I feel like it continues in the story if we get it right. So with the Six of Water here in the reverse, it's almost like they're being tortured by memories from the past, that they really enjoy those memories though. There's a lot of a feeling of, I should have done something differently. I wish I had done something differently. And now with this Five of Water in the reverse, there's not really going to be an opportunity for this to ever go right the way it should have. So this is second chances notwithstanding. This is the feeling that they've missed an opportunity, or that things could never be that way again because of a mistake that they've made. So they're trying not to look back on that. There's a lot of regret and feeling like they lose strength when they look back on that, like they lose more balance when they look back on that. And there's already a pretty significant lack of balance in them internally. They're feeling like they're kind of out of energy in a certain way, where for you may be feeling like you're coming into some more energy. So we'll look at you in just a moment, but I think for them, this is, remember yesterday's energy of having to make decisions with less information, big decisions, less information, sitting at a crossroad, and it freaks them out. It freaks them out in a way that they are not feeling like they don't realize that they can simply navigate it. And yet this is what they do all day long. But it's this sense of not feeling confident about themselves. We do have the Brother of Water here, which almost sounds like falling back on, like it's like phoning a friend. It's falling back on old ways, though, when it comes out with this Wheel of Fortune card. So with the Wheel of Fortune, it has this, I guess, how can I put this? With the Wheel of Fortune, there's a feeling of not really being able to move on. The energy of the universe holding them in place, not allowing them to move on, and they want to go to you about that. Like they want to do something that the way that they would have done it a long time ago. So that's where it's falling back on old ways. They want to do something the way that they would have done it a long time ago, but it feels like it's a moment that has already passed. They want to be able to contact you and say, hey, let's talk about this thing. And this thing is just something that's happening in their life. But unfortunately, they feel like they wouldn't be safe doing that. Let me see what has dropped. Okay. So we have an Eight of Wind. They can't get you out of their mind. And with the Hanged Man, they don't have enough information to tell what's really happening with you. So they may be trying to watch you and trying to observe, but they can't observe enough to really give them sufficient information about you at this time, which makes them kind of frustrated. With the Eight of Wind, though, that's a, Eight of Wind is an overthinking sort of energy, and that's where they're not able to get it out of their mind. They're not able to stop thinking about you, stop thinking about what's happening between, or what has happened between the two of you, what might have happened between the two of you. And it's part of what keeps them off balance and makes them feel like they need to go to you, makes them feel like they need to borrow some of your strength. But they're not actually, like I was saying up here, they're not actually borrowing your strength. They're borrowing from the strength that automatically comes from this bond. And so you don't feel the impact of that, but you will feel the fact that they don't feel right about approaching you. That's going to be evident. It's going to come across as that awkwardness that came up in yesterday's reading. So we have the One of Wind. This is that sense of them coming all the way up to the door, the one that theoretically you are leaving a door open and just not watching to see if they're coming through it. In this, it feels like that door is open. They're leaving it open. You're leaving it open. They come up to the door. They don't actively come all the way through it. And it has to do with the fact that they're still working within themselves on some reconciliations that are really just for them quite challenging. Might be simple for you, but you guys are in different places on the healing timeline. So I feel like they're kind of in their own world with regard to this. I'm curious to understand what is happening in that world. What is bothering them so deeply that they're feeling trapped and wanting to come to you, and then feeling trapped like they can't. So they're kind of like in between, can't decide which way to go. a little bit of a tug of war of the emotions. And then here with the brother of fire, well, if that isn't the in and out tug of war with the emotions, hot and cold sort of energy, I don't know what is. This is sometimes it's breadcrumbing, sometimes it's player, sometimes it comes in many forms, but it's that energy of someone who's kind of back and forth and can't make a decision. Very inconsistent sort of energy, but also wants to be in control of the situation. So those two things occur at the same time within this person quite often, and that's kind of what we see in this energy. So I'm still curious to understand what it is that they are trying to reconcile that feels like they want to talk to you about it, but they also can't. So I feel like that's almost like a divine, what will probably come out is divine masculine messages. So that's what we'll do when we get into the extended, is look into that, which will, like I said, probably come out as divine masculine messages. So if you want to see that, the link is going to be down below. First, we're going to the you portion. So I know some of you only watch the you portion, more focused on the you and letting your person work through their parallel path. Well, let's see what the focus is for you right now. What is the area of focus need to be in your world at this time? Let's see here what came out. So we have the Two of Pentacles. I'm sorry, that's the Ten of Pentacles. But it's the Ten of Pentacles in the reverse. This is change in your living situation, living status, household, the way that you do something. Something is changing with regard to the way that you live your daily life. I don't get the sense that it's necessarily a bad change, but it seems like one that you are not yet on board with. So maybe it's, I know one of you talked about getting, losing your job, getting laid off from your job. And you know that you're going to be fine with it, but you're not fine with it yet. And that's exactly that feeling of not being on board with it yet. Still kind of trying to figure it out because it's not of your own doing. So a change in your life that is not necessarily of your own doing and is going to remind you of some pain that you experienced in the past. But I don't get the sense that this change ends up being real painful. We saw in yesterday's reading that you are taking a detour and kind of, again, that crossroads energy. Both of you have it, that sense of being at a crossroads, having a decision that you need to make, and having that energy of new opportunity. So you're ready to invest in yourself in a whole new way. I saw that really coming up in the comments from yesterday in the live reading, the members live reading. So if you're a member, you may notice that it was a lot of you that kind of were having that sense of ready to invest in yourselves. So this is a step along that way that allows you to do that, but it's one that you don't put into play. It's one that you kind of have to roll with or flow with. The thing is, though, I think you're totally ready to do that. So this is a collective of people who understands that sometimes you have to flow with things. And it feels like there's some good capacity to do that going forward. Maybe not without its challenges, but it's there. So we've got the Sister of Wind. Sister of Wind is a little bit of a youthful sort of energy. Can be innocent, can be creative, willing to try new things, almost like a minor arcana fool. So even though this situation isn't of your own doing, you're going to make the best of it in this energy. Okay, there's that Two of Wind, decision to make while you are at a crossroad. This Two of Wind, actually, that's like a Two of Swords, which feels like a this or that sort of energy. And with the crossing, it gives us the sense of that crossroad. So I don't get I don't feel like you've already made a decision. I think that something, or maybe you already know what you're going to do, but you haven't executed on the decision yet. Still getting that feeling that there is something that you aren't quite on board with, but once you are, it's going to be you jumping right into it. And it doesn't have to be something that you already know how to do. It's just something that you more or less feel like is already on your path. So we've got the Star card, the Fool card. This is big concepts as far as moving forward and new opportunity. And with this very good manifestation energy, I feel like that's going to work out well for you. It just seems like you're going to be smiling all the way, even though, like I said, there's this Ten of Swords reminder of pain up here, and something that you feel like you're being put into a mold of a situation that is already happening. So you're having to jump in without making as many decisions. So you've got decisions to make with less information, and you've got some decisions that you don't have the luxury of making. You just have to live with something that's already a set of circumstances, maybe a decision that someone else has already made. I feel like you do a great job with it. It's like you inherit a set of circumstances and you just take it and run. You got the Sister of Fire here, so it's another one of those youthful types of energies, but this one parties all night. So heads up on this one. Looks like you may be prepared to have a good time, maybe meeting somebody and having a little bit of a whirlwind experience with it. So when we get into the extended, maybe we do half divine or partially divine masculine messages, see what wants to come out there, and then maybe look into this person that you're meeting, because this is the very clear meeting somebody soulmate kind of energy. So let's look into that and see what wants to come out there when we get into the extended as well. I like when the soulmates pop out because I hear about them from you guys, but I don't always do a ton of readings on it. So let's see what this is. Death card in the reverse. What aren't you letting happen? Okay, so there is somebody here for you, but there might be a little bit of might be a little bit of you having to figure out how you're going to let yourself access it, because a little bit of struggling. Okay, these are your cards. All right, 5 of Fire, 10 of Water. 10 of Water is that same thing that comes up for your person on a pretty regular basis, that talks about how when the thing that they really want comes to them, they may not exactly have any idea of what to do with it or how to handle it. This is you being in that situation. So now you're going to be getting something that you want, that you asked for, and you're struggling against it, and you're sitting there trying to figure out how you're going to handle it. So the thing is, you're also able to handle this slowly enough that you'll be able to say, hold on, I get it now. This is where maybe I want to take a different look at this, rather than struggling, resisting, not allowing a change to occur. Let me go ahead and be maybe a little bit more open to this change. And it makes sense that you may be reluctant to let someone new in, given some of the experiences you've had, particularly with this divine masculine, who honestly still wants to come toward you, has that attraction, high level of attraction, wanting to come toward you, even as they are pushing their emotions down. It's like they're trying to get rid of their emotions as much as they can, and yet they've got something bubbling up here that they feel trapped by and want to get your help with. So I mean, we're going to look into what's happening with them, but let's also look into what's coming for you when we get into this extended, because I feel like that's a big, it's going to be a big deal. I think that you are also going to have to figure out how to manage these two things, but yet I don't get the sense that that's the decision that you're here to make. Let's get you an oracle card. I know a lot of times I do these in the extended only, but I just felt like I wanted to get one for you here as well. I love the Shaman's Dream deck. This one has always been one of my favorites ever since it came into my life. Let's see what I got. Okay. Winter's Dream, gestation period. So this is a card of patience, a card of observing something. So it's not so much that you have to wait for something to happen, just that you have to have patience while it happens, because it may not be the quickest process, even though it may jump into being relatively quickly. So I think I'm going to stop here. Like I said, when we get into the extended, we're going to look into what's happening with your person. It's likely to turn into a divine masculine messages kind of reading. And then we're also going to look to see what's happening with you. It looks like there's some activity going on with regard to his soulmate. And let's get in a little bit farther into that, because you may be a little bit resistant, and yet there's time for you to make an adjustment and be able to let it in. So we'll look into that when we get there. If you'd like, join me. That link is down below. Otherwise, I will see you again in tomorrow's reading.